The first rule of Incite Club is you don't talk about Incite Club. You do Incite Club. The second rule of Incite Club is the only assumptions we make about one another are that we all want happiness and we all want to avoid suffering. The third rule of Incite Club is you check all your other assumptions at the door. We hope these conversations will bring you insights that incite you to action. Welcome to Incite Club.
Welcome back to Incite Club.
Welcome back. You know, I just had an insight listening to you singing that Pixie song, and I heard it in a new way. I've always heard "Where is my mind?" like "Where's my mind?" You know, like "Oh, I don't know," and then I heard it as "Where is my mind? What am I focused on?"
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good conversation starter.
Right?
Where is your mind today, Megan?
Yeah. It's pretty joyful. Like getting to sit down and talk with you and share these conversations. I'm feeling so freed by us stepping into conversation around things that are hard to talk about, stepping into conversation about when we hesitate and pull back. And there's like a real soul level freedom I'm experiencing because we're embarking on this journey. So thank you.
Thank you for that as well. I'm so enjoying these conversations, and I didn't mention to you before, but I did cut some clips for us to share the clips as well for people who don't join the whole conversation, but they can get some nuggets.
Awesome. Yeah. And thanks everybody who's watching. We want to hear from you. This is like intended to be a community conversation and collaboration.
We want to hear about your homework if you chose to do it in the comments, and we're going to share ours as well.
Yeah. So a reminder, the homework from last time was to notice those moments when we're hesitating to say the thing. And then Lise gave us this beautiful journal prompt that was around why doesn't it feel safe in this moment? Why do I find myself hesitating? So I'll go ahead and share. I didn't even journal on this because, as sometimes happens, like just the language that was in my brain when I was in the moment gave me the insight. So it wasn't even something I was sharing. I was hesitating on liking a video, a Monty Python video that somebody shared. Did you share this with me?
I shared it.
Okay, I love it. You're such a beautiful like expander in my life. So it was a hilarious Monty Python video that now looks totally different because of like the landscape that we're in. And my finger was there. It was so funny, and it was funny in this beautiful, true way. Like it was comedy that was pointing out, something really essential about our human experience. And my finger is hovering over that like button. And I went, I can't like it. And this is where I didn't even have to journal because I had the language. I can't like it. I'll get in trouble. And that goes back to like my deepest childhood wound, my deepest fear, which is I will be disconnected from people. I'll be rejected. And I was like, wow, isn't that interesting? I want to show like, I want to join this conversation on social media. I want to enjoy this thing. I want to like give props. Who knows if, any of the people from Monty Python ever see any of this, but like, I want to give them props, and I want to say like, I want to stand up and be counted as, I think this is hilarious. And what was stopping me was I'll get in trouble and I'll be at risk. So I was like, that's very interesting. That's how deep it goes, even for something that feels very surface. So that was my experience with the homework.
It's so funny that you mentioned that one, because I had a moment with that as well. Like I often when I'm sharing something, I look okay, what's the page that is sharing this? Because I don't want to mess it up with the page that I'm sharing, like who you're connected with, even
Yeah.
if you're not following, because sometimes Instagram recommends stuff that it's not from someone you're following, but
Oh, all the time. It's like, "Megan, you like cats. Here's some cats."
yeah, here's some cats for you. And yeah, sometimes I do look and like, I want to share this video, but not from this page. Yeah. Mm. Mine was more like I caught myself in a judgment that I didn't know it was a judgment at first. So just to give a little bit of context, we're renovating the house, some things in here, and everyone knows that this is stressful. You're living in the place that everyone is working, and there's noise, there's mess, there's dirt, and I'm here trying to keep like high vibe, positive, everything is going to work out, everything is good. And my mom is going like really stressed about a lot of things. And um, I was thinking I had to keep it high vibe. And I caught myself getting grumpy at how much she was stressed about it, because I thought like, can't you just like chill a little bit? And then I noticed, this is my judgment of how we're supposed to try to deal with things, and like me being like in a bad, extremely positive, because my belief behind that is was that, going back to what you were saying as well, that if we keep it positive, more positive things come, and if we start getting negative, more negative things come. But I was missing the opportunity to be compassionate in that
Mm.
thing, and I was seeing the disconnect between of how I was experiencing the moment, like looking at the flowers and literally, and she was looking at the cement and all the things that was literally that.
Yeah.
And the moment I noticed that, I was like, okay, I get to remove that duality and actually have the conversation and start like the conversation of, I see why you're feeling this stressed, and reflecting back to her all the things that I do notice as well. But I was trying to not focus on that, maybe bypassing a little bit, and I could see the cloud lifting, like the weight lifting of her shoulders, because I could understand her.
Yeah, somebody seeing us is the best feeling.
Yeah.
I really like how you, that the grumpiness was an indicator for you, and I've experienced that. I think it's a really, helpful moment to pause, because 'cause I've experienced that and then not even necessarily had a conversation, but, like, I'll be grumpy at, I don't know, Grady playing the TV loud or leaving a mess out or something like that. And if I can just shift into compassion around, "Oh, I bet he's, like, still unwinding from his workday and just feeling, like, really in it still and just wanting to have like total sensory overload to get out of his own head." Or, wow, he must have been just like so tired he didn't even realize, he left this dish or whatever when he left the house. So even without having going and having the conversation, if I can notice the grumpiness and then use that as a jumping off point to find the compassion, then I feel better. And I
Yeah.
know then my energy is totally different, right? So when you're in a house with somebody and they're stewing, right? They're like, "Meh," it's not pleasant. So I know I'm creating a better outcome
Yeah.
overall.
Mm. I love that you mentioned this, because sometimes it's not about the conversation, it's about giving the space, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, just um what's a thought I could have that would allow me to let go of, like, to entertain a different possibility and to let go of the perspective I'm really locked into. Because we were each talking about being locked into a perspective. You were locked into a perspective of like, it's happy, it's good, it's gonna be amazing. And I often get locked into a perspective of like, don't you have any common sense? Can't you tell? Like, that's annoying me. And it doesn't matter how we name the emotion, if it's like, you know, happy or annoyed, or like we have these judgments about um like some states of mind and emotions being good and others being bad, but it's the locked in that's the challenge.
Yeah. Mm, yeah. Opening up for other possibilities other than our point of view
Yeah.
in that specific moment.
Yeah. I try to play this game sometimes when I remember when I'm driving. And there are like myriad things that other people do when we're driving that we take very personally. Somebody doesn't let us merge or just cuts us off or stops or whatever it is. And when I remember, I try to play a game that's like, oh, I wonder if that person, like, they just had a death in the family and they're so distraught and they're like driving home and trying to, just do life. Or like, oh, I wonder if that person is like in the car rocking out to tunes and got distracted and is just having a wonderful time. It's hard. It's not a natural thing, but it's a challenge I'm setting for myself. Can I imagine a
Mm.
different reason that this behavior, that I'm witnessing somebody behave in this way? And the first step feels like just making it not about me. It's about something happening for them.
Yeah. That's a powerful thing. Like you notice whenever we're grumpy or any of these kind of feelings, is it that we're always making it about us?
I would say my grumpiness comes 100% of the time from making things about me. In
Yeah.
fact, I just picked up again doing fists of anger as part
Mm.
of my morning routine. And when I was doing it previously, I found myself just like very vaguely being like, I'm angry, I'm letting the anger out. And then I was watching a class on Rama TV, and there was kind of just like a refresher of what you do and how this one works. And the reminder was to just call to consciousness things you're actually angry about. So the last few mornings as I've been doing it, instead of getting into the feeling of anger, I've just been thinking the anger. And I was like, this person did this and they didn't do this. And it's big things and small things, and starting in the present and kind of going back into my past and then to like my soul's past. Like, I'm angry that when I incarnated a couple times ago, this happened. And it's 100%. The things that are making me angry are 100% things that feel like somebody is slighting me,
Mm.
where it feels like you're intentionally doing something bad to me because you're not seeing what an amazing person I am, or you're diminishing my value. 100% of the things that are coming up that I'm allowing myself to get angry about.
Yes. I can totally relate. And I love that you mentioned the physical anger because it's like those 3 minutes that you allow yourself to think about all the things
Yeah.
that you're angry about.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
Because they're there under the surface, obviously. I'm
Yeah.
able to easily recall them.
Yeah.
And so it's giving them an outlet,
Yeah. Mm.
or a way out, I should say. Not an outlet like I'm acting on them. It's giving them a way to exit.
To move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the things that we don't feel, we just suppress. It's not that they go away.
Yeah. And I've been pairing it with Ard Katria. Is that how you say it? The positivity, which is one I just learned on the Inner
Mhm.
Moon Circle on Sunday with Mindev and Hari Jivan. But I'm I'm leading myself as if I'm in a Kundalini yoga class where I'm monologuing about the Kriyas. And so I'm telling myself this story about like, okay, I do fists of anger so that I can um like see that pole and know it's a pole and know it's not the only place to be, and so I can recognize the vibration of anger, and so I can understand that it's just like one place to be. And then I do the positivity kriya so that I can see the other pole and that I know that there's this movement. And I think that's really rocking my world too, because instead of just doing fists of anger, like now I'm getting angry, I'm framing the experience for myself
Mm.
and going, this was something else that I was telling you before we started, something that Harjeevan said on the Inner Moon Circle call that really lit me up. But another thing he said was, look, this world is it's about polarity. And I was like, yeah, this planet's got poles, right? I mean, and
Literally.
so I'm feeling this beautiful invitation instead of, oh, I got to avoid these things and have these things. I need to have experience of polarity in order to know I can move between these states. And that's feeling hella powerful.
Now that you mentioned, okay, maybe this is just me like overthinking and going uh, in other ways with this, but now that you mentioned polarity and like we have the polarities literally and so on, this world is made has poles. I was the image of the compass came to my mind, and I thought actually having the polarity helps us give have direction.
Yeah. There's no orientation without poles.
Yeah, so it's needed for clarity.
Yeah.
And maybe even this exercise that you're doing, because I love that you're putting together the negative mind with the positive mind, like is not only helping you find a neutral, coming back to the neutral mind, which is the heart, but also you're expanding in both directions.
Mm. That feels really good because if I can explore those territories, I don't have to be so afraid of them.
Hmm.
I've been terrified of my own anger for as long as I can remember
Hmm.
because I've experienced so much anger that it's really destructive and that I never knew what to do with it. Like it would explode. I was a volcano as a little kid. My rage would just explode out of me. You know, I broke a lot of stuff. I scared a lot of people. I was like the Tasmanian devil. Um, and so, you know, I've had this fear as an adult of anger because I mean, people kind of like deal with it when you're 3 years old and you're exploding like that. But when you're 43 years old, that's a problem.
It's a little bit different.
And what you do has lasting consequences, right? Like what would it be like if I exploded in rage at a work colleague or a client or,
Hmm.
um or even, at my husband, like things have higher stakes and bigger impact when we're in adult relationships. So that feels beautiful to think about. I can explore deeper into these both areas and go, ah, that's what it feels like. But just because I have a compass, it doesn't mean I always have to go north, right? I see where north is, and then I go where I want to go. So then the third Kriya I'm doing, and these were like, Arjun is like, every day, dude, fists of anger, Adkatria, and addiction meditation. And I have this love-hate relationship with addiction meditation where I just find it really hard. It's the hardest. There's a video on YouTube of Guru Jagat leading it, and she's like, I know those are the longest 3 minutes of your life, but it's only 3 minutes. And it really is. It feels like that. But the framing I give to that is like, okay, now I've been in anger and I know what anger feels like. And then I've been in positivity and I know what positivity feels like. And then my third path is to break free from default patterns so that
Hmm.
I get to choose, right? That's what the addiction meditation is about. So that I get to choose, do I want to go toward that negative thought? Do I want to go toward that positive thought and get out of the established pattern? So that combination of those three feels like I can choose my own adventure.
Yes. Hmm. I love that. I've been doing addiction meditation daily since November as well. I've done before, but just like you, it's like not my favorite. And it does feel like forever, which is so weird because it's not even one of the hardest
I
stuff to
know, it's
do.
not like you're gonna hold your arms up like this and they're gonna shake and you think they're gonna fall off. It's
N- No, your brain just goes like, no, we're not handling this.
yes. You are not taking away my default patterns.
Yes. So it's really a weird one to do because I can understand why we would uh, have that with the ones where you like 11 minutes, 30 minutes with your arms up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but that's like 3 minutes. It's not even
Yeah,
like,
or like frog pose, or I don't
yeah.
know, anything where you're just lifting your legs off the ground and you kind of making bargains with God. You're like, "God, if you just let this end, I will whatever it is. I'll do anything." Yeah.
And I have the same thing. I feel like this is the kind of thing like that we really exemplifies how hard our programmed patterns fight for
Yes.
us to keep that train of thought,
Yes.
and how hard our programmed mind fights to keep our world the way it is known and safe and comfortable. That's why it's so hard to embrace new thoughts and new ideas and um, new points of view, as we were talking about in this podcast from the start.
Yes. It feels like an existential threat often to hear a new idea. That's a tough that's a tough place for us to be in as humanity. Uh, um, what's just flashing to mind? Um, some of the somatic work, like somatic healing modalities that I've done, um, to really help the mind differentiate between existential threat and not.
Mm.
And it's really simple things like, so I was mentioning to you a conversation about EFT before we got on live. And what I just learned about emotional freedom technique that I didn't know before, I've like, EFT is something that radically changed my life. I attribute my happy marriage to EFT. Like, I don't think my husband and I would have been able to get married. We'd been together for a long time, and I don't think we would have been able to get married and to have a sense of like, okay, this life partnership is going to be um, something that grows us both and feels really good, as opposed to like, oh my God, we're always just going to keep working on it in a way where it feels really heavy. Like, maybe we'll stay in it, but it's always going to just be like, oh my God, this is my job. It's really hard. And EFT was something that shifted my energy, and it shifted our relationship entirely. So I absolutely know the power of it. And I didn't know the science behind it. And what I learned recently is, because I was saying, if I get anxious still, I'll just do this. Like, I don't have to go through the whole tapping sequence. I'll just do this. And somebody's like, yeah, because it's the end point of your vagus nerve.
Mm.
Oh. So literally, right, I'm giving feedback to the nerve that's responsible for connecting my gut, my heart, and my brain, and telling them all if I'm in danger or if I'm okay. Um, but
Mm.
kind of, I don't know if it's counterintuitive, but it's just like not intuitive. Like, a way for us to create more space for entertaining a different possibility, like we've been talking about, is to calm down our body and to give our body that ability to orienting is just literally what you see prey animals doing after they get chased, right? You stop, their ears go like this, they look, they're like, is there actually a threat? So you just go like, you look around the room and you name what you see. There's that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing where you name 5 things you see and 4 you smell or whatever it is. But it's because it's an orienting practice. But I'm just struck by that tool is really like helpful for creating space to see another point of view, not as an existential threat. Because I can go, oh, I'm actually safe. Like
Yeah.
physically, I'm safe. Hearing something I don't like, but physically, I'm safe.
Ah, I love that you mentioned that because I also have my own thing to do when I feel anxious, and for me, it's humming. And
Mm.
it's also about just calming the vagus nerve, just like tuning it. So maybe that's all. That's what the world needs more.
Yeah. Can you say more about why humming works? Why humming is calming?
Yeah. So the whole science of humming and sound itself, but you know that we worked on this a lot, like moving the sound up and down and so on, feeling where it's at. It the whole vibration is moving the all the things that we have in our body, including the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve picks on that vibration, which is our own, and just expands everywhere, so we can feel that. Uh, that going a little bit woo, but like I am in my own sound bubble. I am in my own vibration, so like it's safe in here. But the vibration itself, like just the the small movement that it does, also creates that. Just like when you're tapping, you're actually sending that signal. The sound sends a signal as well
Okay. Yeah.
to anywhere, and you can feel where you're feeling, because often we feel stress, mm, the anxiousness more in one place, and people it's like in the stomach, some people it's like in the shoulders and throat and so on. So it might be different each time. And with the vibration of the humming, we can actually move that vibration where physically we're feeling that, kind of
Mm.
like untangling the things that are there. So
Yeah.
that also helps.
Like a massage gun,
Ah,
right? And it's
it's basically a massage.
vibrating head, right? It's like putting pressure on something, but
It's a sound massage.
yeah, that's really cool.
And also brings the awareness back to the body, because that's the other thing. Often when we're feeling anxious, stressed, feeling like we need to fight, flight, flee, whatever, we are in the mind.
Sure.
And when all the work with somatic work and with the sound is always coming back to the body, coming back to our own temple. And in this place, we can feel safe instead of feeling like I need to dissociate and go out of my body to feel safe.
Yes. And when you were saying that, I went, "Oh, feeling safe in my body. The more I feel safe in my body, the less I feel the need to control the reality around me because I'm already safe." I think about this with traveling. Some people are just amazing at traveling.
Yeah.
Some people are just like, if they just have like kind of a backpack with a toothbrush, they're like, I'm set and I feel comfortable. And I'm not one of those people. I've gotten better at traveling and transitions. But I really admire it. And I was thinking about it like what it would mean for me anyway, is that I would have created such a sense of home in my physical body, extending a little bit farther out too, right? Like in my auric field, definitely, right? There's this strength that's here where it's like I am in a bubble. You were talking about being in a sound bubble, but like I've created a place that feels really safe and secure in and of myself, even though it extends beyond my physical body. And when that's the case, I'm not so scared about what other people are creating. It's like a force field. And this is a concept that you see in so many spiritual practices. And it gets kind of cartoonized in kung fu movies where, you know, it's like, oh, I've got an actual force field around me and your blows just bounce off. But it's it's a real strength we can build.
Mm.
And like that's pretty much my goal from here on out for the rest of the year is I want to build chronic strength. I want to
Mhm.
create strength in my body and in my field so that it does feel like I have a force field. You know, it's like shields up. And the plasma blasters from the other spaceships are just, you know, kind of going past. And it's permeable, right? It's like a cell membrane, so I can choose to let things in. It's not a solid wall. But that
Mm.
means if somebody's in my space and they're saying things I don't agree with, I don't have to retreat in, feel terrified, or try to counter. You know,
Yeah.
I don't have to come in and go like, "You're wrong, and here's why," and let's have fisticuffs about it. So I'm like, "Oh, I'm safe."
I
And
think I know what.
yeah, sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Ironically, we're in this era of creating safe spaces. But I feel the more we're trying to make public spaces free from any possible harm or danger at all whatsoever, the more we're losing a sense of creating the safety in ourselves. And like the far more important thing we could be teaching people is how to create this safety in yourself. So, like, if you take a a crab or any animal with an exoskeleton, and you're like, "Oh, we're going to take off your exoskeleton because we're going to just put you in this padded room." Like, that's not nearly as good as the crab having its own structure that keeps it safe.
I know what the our homework will be.
Yay.
Oh, yes. That's a big one.
Yeah.
We don't feel the need to control when we feel strong and safe within ourselves.
Yeah. And you mentioned something about that the last time we were on air about, oh, you were saying, yeah, like the things that we really, really believe that we're just so strong in our belief, those are the ones we don't feel the need to convince others of. And it's that middle uncomfortable ground of this is right, isn't it? I think this is true, where we are desperate to convince other people and we end up being really antagonistic.
Yeah.
Those seem related.
As if us convincing other people will make uh, the world a safer place.
Yeah, we'll make it more true. We're like, this is
Yeah.
true, isn't it? If you believe it, then it will definitely be true. Um, we do this in low level ways, like, um, when if you get in line for something, but you're not sure it's the right line, right? So you ask the
Yeah.
people in front of you, you're like, you guys are in line to order, right? Or are you waiting to pick up, right? If you're at a restaurant or a
Like a
food place.
confirmation
Yeah, you're
feedback.
like, you're waiting for the same thing. No, they could be wrong too.
It could.
But we're building our sense of security around our reality based on other people also believing it.
I have a funny story about that. My dad, a long time ago, he stopped in front of the toilet, not the toilet, the restroom door, the toilet door. Anyway, um, and he started building a line behind him, and then after a long time, one person got out of the restroom. Thank God, and he saw there was a lot of toilets inside it. It was a bathroom with a lot of toilets. So he called people. You guys can come in. There's a lot of.
So
He
all
was
it takes
wrong.
is one person making the assumption
Yeah,
and it will just trickle down.
people follow.
Yeah. And there's a beautiful piece of that, which is we tend to trust our fellow humans,
Yeah,
right? And we're in community and we're like, okay, we don't need to be naysayers. We're like, okay, I'll take your word for it. And then the other side of it is, man, if we don't pause and go, well, what assumptions is that person making? And are they true? And are they serving me as well?
Yeah.
You end up waiting forever for the toilet.
And if nobody was inside, how long would they wait?
They just would have waited forever. Then it would turn into a Kafka story. This toilet was built for you all along. You were the only person who could have used this restroom.
The only person that could open the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that story is it's such a beautiful touchstone, I feel like, because we don't need to get angry at the person who made the innocent assumption. They go like, "Oh, I've been waiting and why didn't you?" Like, we don't need to make them responsible for us taking on their assumptions, but maybe we like want to hold in the back of our minds that curiosity of, what if it's a more than one person restroom? Like, that could be a mantra.
Yeah.
Um or yeah, but and that it's not needing to correct somebody else, not needing to be angry about their assumptions, but also not needing to follow their assumptions blindly. That's where I'm feeling so empowered by that story.
Mm, yeah. And maybe if the person that stopped behind him had questioned and had started a conversation, they could have figured out earlier instead of just, okay, you're here, I'm here. We're not going to have a conversation. We're just going to stay in line because that's what we do.
You just pinpointed it's easier often to be in curiosity if you're in community. Because if somebody else arrived and just said something like, "Oh, is it just a one person at a time?" Your dad might have gone like, "Oh, I don't know. Is it? Let's try the door." Um and it's just easier to be in inquiry, not all the time, but often about the unknown. It's easier to be inquiry in community.
Yeah. And there's one, you see so many layers. There's one more layer to this. If my dad, when he opened the door and he saw that there was a lot of places in that restroom, had thought, I'm not gonna be the crazy person that breaks that. I'm just gonna keep the assumption.
Yes.
How
I don't
many
wanna feel
people would
embarrassed.
take? How many people would take going into that restroom one by one until someone decides to break the first assumption and
Yeah.
let people know I was wrong?
Mm. Oh my god. This is the story that keeps on giving. Yeah. Yeah. A different person might have gone in and been hugely embarrassed and not said a thing.
Yeah, because I'm making a lot of people wait, and they might be very angry, literally pissed.
That's delightful. Um, hey, you said you had an idea for our homework assignment. It's kind of
I
about
do
that
have an
time.
idea. So I'm actually going to, I prepared this time. This is our insight. How can you create safety and strength within yourself without the need to control your environment?
Hmm.
Megan mentioned the EFT and tapping the top of the head. I mentioned the humming and feeling the vibration where I feel the anxiety where I feel uh, some some kind of knot within myself. If you are familiar with feeling your body, you're probably going to be able to do this. But yeah, feeling those moments where maybe you feel like you need to dissociate, disconnect, go away to feel safe, and how can you, or even like fight and say like you're wrong about this and this and that. How can you stop and create that safety and strength within yourself instead of having to control other people, control the environment, control the conversation, control whatever it is to bring back safety towards yourself?
Beautiful. And there's a like a kind of more less obvious tapping point, which is the palm or not palm, the side of your hand right here. So if you're
Mhm.
sitting in conversation and it feels like it would be awkward or you're not comfortable doing this, you just have your hands in your lap and just tap right there. People might think it's just a nervous tick.
Yeah. Or even go to the restroom and don't create a line.
Yes.
Hmm.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, so okay. So what homework can come out of that? It's just noticing.
I feel like noticing, and it might be that they do one of these, or it
Yeah.
might be that they notice that they have some other way that we haven't touched in here, because this can be very personal as well. There's a lot of ways to soothe ourselves.
Yeah.
Uh, Even like I hear that people say that, oh, you shouldn't like touch yourself like this when, because it shows like you're not confident or whatever when you are in conversation. But what if this is exactly what you need? What if you
Yeah.
need to hug yourself and
There's a
have
whole
to?
technique called havening a friend of mine does. Do you know
Yeah.
about havening?
No.
Oh, I know very little about it, but like this gesture is huge in it because it's exactly what your body needs to feel more safe.
Yeah. Another one that's very simple that helps me at least is like this point right here. Just if I just like massage my heart, basically my
Yeah.
thymus, I can feel a lot calmer very fast.
Yeah. Mm.
Which is one of the points for EFT as well. So
Yeah, I'll just sometimes tap on too. This
it's just that for me, I feel better like massaging it than tapping it. The tapping sometimes makes me feel a little bit more anxious depending
yeah.
on the situation.
Yeah, the percussiveness of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm. This is um this is awesome because one of my main complaints about all of the wonderful self-development goals that are floating in our world right now is not enough conversation about how we do that thing. A lot of expectation, like, get past this, do that, stop doing this. People are like, stop playing small, whatever it is. How? How do I do that? So, like, let's build this foundation. Well, our goal for, or my goal for myself is like, I want to build my pranic field strong enough that I can be in the presence of thoughts and beliefs that like don't jive for me and just be like, all right, cool. As if somebody named their favorite ice cream flavor and it wasn't my favorite ice cream. It was just that kind of calm. They're like, I love mint chip. And I'm like, all right, cool. I don't.
Yeah.
um, and like the way into that, and I would love like for everybody who wants it to be able to experience that self safety, to not have to try to control other people. Like that would be an awesome world to live in. And the how is starting with your body.
Yeah. Mm, I love that. That's a powerful, powerful, powerful practice. And I feel like if we want to add one more thing to the homework, it's just feeling like perceive and maybe journal about it if you want, or share with us in the comments how you react differently when you take the ownership towards what you're feeling and create that safety to yourself versus when you just automatically go with the instinct of I need to feel safe instead of like noticing, not feeling safe right now. What can I do to get back
Oh
to myself?
my gosh, I have full body chills. That's so kick ass. How can I take responsibility for my own safety in this moment?
Yeah.
I love it. I can't wait to hear from people. I'm so excited to hear what everybody is doing around this.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay. Well, should we close it there? Feels like a
Yeah,
good
I
time.
think that's a great place to close.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. And Lise, as always, thank you so much for being the light that you are and for this conversation.
Thank you, Megan, for going with me on the crazy threads that we waved today.
Yeah.
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 It's interesting how small things sometimes can bring very big insights.
I feel like that's the way to get the big insight, because I'm not a super being with the ability to see my whole life and integrate it at once. I'm paying attention to what's happening in a moment and then asking, can I see a pattern in that? Can I see a default behavior?
Mm.
Can I see a choice? I don't know another way to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm.
It's beautiful. All right. Thank you, everyone. And see you in 2 weeks for another episode. Bye.
Bye.